Hello and welcome, my beautiful scorpion shapes. I hope you are doing amazing and you are already enjoying my challenge with all of the on the pole and off the pole workouts and tips. Today, as you can see, I'm in a little bit of a different setting because I will be telling you a little bit about how to avoid injuries, specifically for pole, but I will start with a little bit more generically in the whole sphere of just working out. Okay, so I have 5 points for you that are totally like in the working out space, and then 4 very specific ones for pole dance. And I would love to hear your opinions. If you have already suffered from injuries, what was the causation of it and how you basically dealt with that as well. Or if the points that I'm talking about make sense to you and you can use them for your own training. So let's start with the first one. This one is quite obvious because I talk about it all the time and different YouTube workout experts talk about it also all the time. So you have 100% already heard about that, but it's neglected so often because it's like more of the boring part of a workout. It's a good and thorough warm-up. So now you're like, oh yeah, Tanja, I already know that. But did you really? It's really important for your muscles, for your tendons, for your ligaments to be really warmed up. And with that, I don't mean to just do a little bit of cardio. It's a very great addition and totally do that so that you break a little bit of a sweat, which will also help you to stick to the pole. But it's also very important to do a lot of, just like movements that are already preparing your muscles and your bones and all of the tissues that you have for bigger and more strenuous workout, especially for pole. There are a lot of times where you're holding onto the pole with just like one hand or something. So there's a lot of tension, a lot of, physical strength that you need to prepare your body for. So make sure to get a very good warm-up in, and maybe also make it specific for the training techniques or tricks you want to do on that day. In addition to your warm-up, so this is point 2, you also want to include mobility. So this is very important to actually lengthen and strengthening your ligaments and your tissues. If you're very stiff, you have a much higher risk at actually tearing your muscles or tearing your tendons. We can use the image of a stick, for example, okay? So if you have a stick that is quite fresh, that is mobile, that is bendy, it can basically like go all the way before it breaks, yeah? But if you have a very old stick, it's very dry, basically a stick that hasn't done mobility training, you just break it straight away, yeah? So you can kind of like imagine the process going on in your body if your tissues are not used to being bendy. And I don't mean like overstretching and being able to do like oversplits and whatnot, but just that your body knows of like, oh, okay, when I stretch it out further away than usual, I'm still okay. Yeah, so it doesn't break, it doesn't have this pullback action of like, oh no, we need to protect you. Okay, so adding a good mobility training to your pole work is very good as well, because you'll simply signal your body, I'm being okay with being a little bit stretched, with having movements that are maybe a little bit out of my comfort zone. So yeah, definitely do mobility and stretching. Point number 3 is definitely add some strength training to your overall pole workout. Or if also you're training to jog, to go for runs and stuff like that, add some strength training as well. Why, you ask? Let's go with the pole area here because this is pole specific. If you are stronger, for example, in your shoulders, in your back, in your core, also in your legs, you have just so much more power to actually hold yourself up so that you're not falling down the pole, yeah? But also, if your muscles are stronger, they actually have a bigger capacity to withstand injury to a certain degree. But I just want you to remember that the stronger you are, the better you will be able to maneuver yourself around the pole. And this has helped me a lot of times, that I was just able to hold on to the pole or also to the silk ropes, which were preventing me from falling down if I didn't have the strength. Okay, so this is definitely something that will increase the speed at which you can progress in pole, because there are just like a lot of tricks that are so much easier if you already have the strength. And also you will prevent injuries on a bigger capacity. Yeah. Also here, if you have a stronger muscle frame, you are firstly using your muscles when there's like a little overstrain or a little overstretch, instead of going straight to the tendons and the ligaments. Yeah, it's kind of like a box or like an armor that you put around your frame that is really guarding you from these injuries. And also, it's fun to train. Tip number 4 is good posture and good technique, and this goes for strength training, for running, for pole, for cycling, for any sports really. If you have a bad way of executing a move, you will strain different parts of your body. Yeah, if we go with a squat or a deadlift, for example, and you have a round back, you will put a lot of strain, a lot of actually like load that you have to carry on your spine, which will or can lead to injuries. Same with pole. If you're kind of like, you know, letting your shoulder hang out instead of retracting it into your back, you will have so much more strain on like the front part of the shoulder, of like, you know, just here and just, you can try it out. If you just stand on the pole and you're retracting your shoulder into the socket, and you just let yourself hang on the pole, it feels so strong and it feels very safe. But then if you let everything hang, there's just so much strain that goes all the way into your body. And now just imagine what happens if you do this over and over and over again, or if there's like a strong pull where you do not have the control over it. So before trying crazy tricks, and before you want to start inverting or doing all of the tricks that you see on Instagram, basically before leveling up, I want you to look at your technique. What can you do here? And also your posture, you know, to not have a round back, not to be like overarched and all of that. What I do is that I record my training sessions. I know it's like, oh, but I don't like looking at myself, and it's like in vain and stuff like that. But you don't have to publish it. You don't have to show it to anyone if you do not want to, but just record yourself, because it's quite hard to look at you in the mirror while you're doing a more difficult trick. But if you just film yourself, you can concentrate on yourself, you can concentrate on your technique, on your posture, on kind of like how you want to do the trick, and afterwards you just analyze it. Be like, oh, maybe I could straighten my legs a little bit more in that move, and make it look a bit more pretty. So this is definitely something that you can do for yourself, or have somebody there who's watching you, who's giving you direct feedback. It's the best way to learn, really. But yeah, pay attention to your technique, to your posture, to the execution before wanting to move up and possibly hurting yourself if it's like really out of your area of expertise. And leading to point 5 of the more general tips: know your limits. It's totally fine to get out of your comfort zone, to try things where you're a little bit afraid maybe, but it's so important to know your limits and not to go overboard. So if you have never done an invert, do not try to do like a crazy trick out of an invert like straight away. It just wouldn't work. Yeah, so basically leading up or coming from point 4, well, we just want to look at our posture, at how we're doing these tricks. If we feel confident and comfortable, do not go too far out. Use crash mats, use a spotter if you are going a little bit out of your comfort zone, okay? But don't try to go like a rainbow Marchenko. Look it up if you don't know what it is. if you can barely do splits. Okay, so really know your limits. Train with a partner if need be, and stop whenever you feel like, ooh, this is not working. And very important is just to listen to your body, because your body tells you if you feel confident, if you like what is going on, if it's strong enough, or maybe if you're experiencing some pain, and then definitely stop. Because it's not about like crazy progression all the time. It's really just about you, okay? And with that, let's get into the more pose-specific tricks. One tip I want to give you is before your pose session or the day of your pose session, do not use oils on your skin, do not use creams, do not use anything that could be slippery that is still on your skin when you go into your class. I think we have all been there. I've given classes where people were like, oh, but this isn't working. And then I asked them, did you use cream today? They were like, yes. So this is something to be aware of. If you forgot it, it happens to all of us. You can just use disinfectant or like the cleansing spray you have at usually your studio and kind of like wash it off to make it a little bit better. But yeah, make sure to not have anything of that on your hands, on your skin when you try to climb. Also make sure to not have it in your hair, and then you go through your hair, then you have it on your hands. Okay, so pay a little bit of attention on that, because otherwise you can, lose your grip and just slide down. Tip number 2 for this pose-specific area, I already touched it a little bit, but if you're trying new tricks, I encourage you to try it on the floor to get like the feeling of how you get into it. If there's like a new grip with your leg and your hand. And then you can try it very low, so that when you lose grip, when you fall down, you only have like 30 centimeters you're falling, which will not be super painful. And also use mats, use crash mats that are kind of like thick. Depending on the trick you're doing, you can use 2 crash mats and make sure that they're like big enough so that when you fall, there's no part of your body that could fall on the floor next to it. Also here, if you're trying something totally out of like extraordinary, have a spotter there, have a teacher there, have somebody who knows what they're doing. Tip number 3 is using or doing the tricks and the exercises on both sides. Kind of like using a good mobility training and a good warm-up. This also feeds into it. If you are only doing the tricks ever on one side, you'll overtrain one side and the other side will just not be developed. So you can have a lot of pinching, a lot of cramping, a lot of pain, and also like injuries that can come from there. So like a balanced lifestyle, a balanced diet, you also want to have a balanced training. So I know it's harder on the other side, but try it and eventually or just get better. When I was starting my whole acrobatic journey, I was quite good in my right split, my right leg in front, and my left leg was just not there. I hated doing my left side split, but then I went into like acrobatic classes, and there obviously we were training both sides, so eventually my left leg got almost as good as my right leg, and now I basically enjoy doing both. All right, so even though one side might progress a little bit more slowly, that's completely fine, because if you were ever to do like a choreography or go in front, like present your choreography in front of people on stage, you can of course go with your more comfortable side, but just training your weaker side will just also strengthen your stronger side. Yeah, so keep that in mind. And the last tip number 4 in this pose-specific tips is something that has helped me so much during my whole sports and acrobatics career, not only in pole dance, but also with floor acrobatics, with partner acrobatics, with silk, and also with pole. And it is how to get out of a trick. Yeah, so either how to get out of a trick after you performed it correctly, or also how to get out of the situation you brought yourself in. Maybe you feel a little bit tangled, but how to get out of the trick properly. Not gracefully, but just safely and properly. So on the pole, it's rather easy because you can always loosen your grip a little bit to slide down. Yeah, there's nothing where you have like a fabric that's wrapped around you where you're stuck and you need to get the scissors to cut it off. But in pole, it's basically just like, okay, let's lower slowly towards the floor. What you never, ever want to do in pole is to just let go. You can't imagine what happens. No matter where you are. If you're upside down or kind of like standing or inverted or whatever, never ever let go of the pole just like that because you're panicking. Ugh, I cannot get out. Not a good idea. So if you ever find yourself in a situation where like, I don't really know, loosen the grip of your hands or of your legs or wherever you are, just slightly, and let yourself slide down little by little by little by little. Or find some position you're comfortable in. You know, if you're upside down and you have no idea where you are, basically, can you get into a leg hug? Or can you hold on to the pole somewhere above your body? Yeah, so you can practice that. As I said, if you are in a low position on the pole when you're trying a new trick and you're like, oh, I have no idea how to get out, try to just get out by sliding to the floor. Have like a safety exit. All right, you guys, these were the tips. Let me know if you have any other tips that are helpful to you, that you can think of right now that have already saved your pole journey. Let me know down below. Also, let me know if these tricks and tips are helping you progress in your pole journey. And I would love to hear about you. I would love to see you in my membership area too, yeah, so that you can support me. I would love to see you in my membership area. You can support me that way to be able to bring you this content even more so that you can also progress on your pole journey. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you next time. There's so many more videos to come. Make sure to like, subscribe, comment, share these videos with all of your pole friends if you like them. And yeah, I'm super excited and happy to see you again. Bye bye.